John, let's do this. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on your show, Chris.
So I'm looking forward to this, John. You and I have just spent like the better part of 13 minutes preambling and talking to each other and then realizing that all the best bits might have already happened. So apologies to all our listeners today. John, you're based in Canada. You are working, I believe, in localized SEO or local SEO. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got here.
Yeah, definitely. So 7, maybe even 8 years ago. So I started in 2013, an agency called Local SEO Search, based in Toronto, Canada. But prior to that, I didn't know anything about SEO. I actually have no tech background. Prior to that, I was actually in advertising sales for 10 years. I studied business finance, but the longest tenure in terms of my career was actually working at Yellow Pages Group. So I was a sales rep there. And if some of your listeners don't even know what Yellow Pages is, it's a printed directory of phone numbers of all localized businesses. So I was there for 5 years. I worked with thousands of business owners, and it gave me a real life lesson of who I wanted to become when I grow up, I would say. And what really meant to be a business owner, because every meeting I had during that 5 years, I really was ultra curious on how they became who they were, what they enjoy doing, which is serving their community, providing a really good product or service, unique selling product, all that good stuff, right? But ultimately, they were happy. They really enjoyed working and dealing with localized people, community members, neighbors, churchgoers, whatever it is. They were just great humans. So moving fast forward to when I started, they gave me a lot of nuggets on why I should start something, because the ROI of print media or traditional media was tanking. Digital was now super, overtaking them, in particular search. And they just wanted to find someone they can trust, resonate with, and help them guide them to become more visible where people were now engaged and actively looking for the product and service. So that's when I started this agency.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. At that point, staying in Yellow Pages and advertising sales in that kind of sense might have been a bad career move back in those days. That's for sure. And if you don't remember what they are, then you're just a very lucky person. Yeah, I remember the good old days where we couldn't just Google shit on our iPhones and then find anything we wanted in the local area by just adding near me at the end.
Yep.
You actually had to it's just flick through the pages and try and find it. It's also, interestingly enough, why so many businesses are named things like triple A to B, because they managed to get first in the phone book. But anyway, massive distraction. So you now work in search, and you said that you got into this and you started your job, but not actually working in local search or SEO. You had no kind of previous experience. How did you learn some of that?
So again, my background has always been sales and relationship building. I went out there right at the beginning, starting this agency. I knew there was a gap in the marketplace. I went out there, sold. I got a first couple clients, half a dozen, gave me a couple $1,000s. They gave me a commitment, and now I had to figure out how to do it. So that's where I was like, great, I know how to sell this. There's people, and there's a market. There's people that are willing to pay for a service that I have no idea how to deliver. And I had to figure out. I read as much as I can, blogs, books, videos, you name it, ingest as much, make tons of mistakes, learn, hire, fire, learn, more mistakes, hire, fire, learn, and rinse and repeat, right? For multiple years until I finally got a good group of people that were experts in their own right, because they've been doing it for many, many more years than I, and they were training me on what I should be doing and how to sell it, right? So it was great learning. And then as I started growing, I got better at hiring, and I still fire, but just making mistakes. And this is life, right? It's okay. I just fired someone last month as a client, and it's okay, because even though they were a good referral, they were not my type of avatar, right? Ideal customer. And that's life. You learn still. You still want to get better. You still know there's areas and ways to improve. So this is a journey, a long journey, but as long as you're enjoying it, it doesn't really matter, right?
I like literally this morning we were on a live with James O'Donnell, our commercial director at Social Link, and we were talking, we were backing and forth, and I was like that. To be honest with you, I only want to do stuff that makes me smile. I was like that. I genuinely, I know I still got to do things for the company, so I'm not talking about avoiding legal requirements like a VAT or a tax return, for example. But in general sense, like you said, who's that ideal client? Who's that avatar? I want to work with people that I enjoy working with, and it's not just for me, it's also for them. If I am enjoying myself, if they enjoy the work, if we have a good relationship, everyone benefits 10x. And actually firing a bad client or firing what we call like toxic profits, bad profits in the out of the company, it opens up so much more in terms of opportunities and possibilities and what could potentially come in the amount of time you have to go out and find new clients, whatever it might be. But all of those things become, for me anyway, like a massive energy drain. And it's really, really bad. Like I can't do anything about it. And nowadays, kind of got to a certain point with an age, and it's been over 12 years since we set up the company. I have difficulties pretending like everything's going to be okay. We're quite brutally honest, and it's just like that. Look, clearly this isn't working out. Let's finish the term. We'll deliver whatever you guys want us to try and deliver. And then at the end of that, this is fair notice. You've got time to find somebody else, another agency, freelancers, go in-house. We'll even help you if you want to bring people in-house, but it's not going to work with us. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's actually a really healthy approach. If more people did it, then I think more businesses and suppliers would have a better fit.
It's hard to come to that realization though, because if you are a business owner, it takes years to develop these traits, right? These experience and learnings, because the stress that you put yourself through when there's a toxic client to try to impress and over deliver, those people would never be impressed. Their threshold, their benchmark, and their deliverables to get a 3-star out of them is like getting a 20-star out of any normal person, right? So, and then you put so much stress in yourself, your team feels it. And that's where it becomes really, really more of a trickle down toxic effect that you mentioned, because no one needs to live like that. It's rather important to understand what your values are, what your mission is, and who you want to resonate with. Like you mentioned, relationships, building a really, really strong tie where accountability, deliverables, but people that are good humans, that understand how to run a business, that understand, that has proper realistic expectations. Like all these things that you think every person should have, well, a lot of people don't. So you learn that really quickly.
It is true. And especially when it's early days, I think a lot of small businesses, especially when they're just starting out, you just need money, right? You start to panic. You go, oh my God, how are we going to pay the bills? How do we keep the lights on? Or how do we not have to fire everybody and close up after the first month? This is so embarrassing. So we take jobs that maybe aren't the best fit. And I think we know that they're not the best fit when we're in those early stages, but we do them anyway. And then we kind of veer away from our niche or what it is that we really want to do. And then we start doing something that isn't quite what we set out to do. But again, it's paying the bills. So we've got to be careful. And before you know it, really slippery slope, it becomes quite hard to get out of that from two sides, right? You become known as the guys who do X or Y rather than what you wanted to set out to do Z in the first place. And also you probably start devaluing your services as well. So you start doing things a little bit cheaper, you start reducing your prices, you start running a lot of offers. And then before you know it, you find yourself in a worse situation, which is you're working long hours and you're still not making any real money. And that's the real problematic thing. I came to the realization after years of being in business. So I will agree with you, John, on that. It doesn't come easy and it takes time. But I came to terms with it a few years ago. And it was, if I go bankrupt, I will do it because I have no work. I will not go bankrupt working 60, 70-hour weeks, because that is lunacy. It's crazy. It just shouldn't ever happen.
And why did you go in business in the first place? Like, it's really to dictate your life, to give you more freedom, to work less, maybe, to be in control, to work the hours and run the life that you want to live, right? So if you think about the real purpose, the goal, and you start with that, and everything else happens. And maybe at the beginning, you have to put in a lot more time, effort, energy, learnings and up level and understanding customers and operations and everything else. But as the years progress, you should be moving away from in your business and more on your business, looking at more strategic, hiring people in place, getting right customers, like all that things make sense as you evolve and mature in your business.
And as the business itself matures, right, it becomes more sustainable in certain ways. Anyway, we've got massively distracted, and I think you and I could carry on this part of the conversation for hours. Let's talk a little bit about what companies can do and how they can use local SEO to help them, because I think this is a huge potential avenue right now that people don't necessarily realize. And I know that there's a lot of people talking at the moment and the buzzword going around of SERP, things like that for the search engine results that come up on the pages. But I know that Google My Business is actually a pretty powerful tool that not a lot of people use properly. But I won't talk about it. Let's find out what your thoughts are. What are some of the things that businesses, especially small businesses, can do to really maximize that?
Yeah, definitely. So Google My Business is the local 3-pack on the first page of Google, usually on the map when you're on mobile, as well as if you're on desktop, you can actually search any keyword, nearby searches or city specific, neighborhood specific, it shows up. There's key factors like relevance, proximity, things that really matter and trust. But think about it as a separate asset piece outside of your own website, because Google My Business is like the social media page of Google, just like Facebook is, Instagram is, Twitter is, or YouTube is, of their own platforms, right? First thing I would say is optimize it, claim it, verify it, and optimize it. Title tag, description, NAP, try to get some reviews out there, get some images, make sure the category is where you want to be found, right? Because a lot of people mistakenly put themselves in a wrong category, and that's where majority of your competitors know. And I would say, look at your top 5 or 10 competitors, play where they are playing, right? Because that's so vital, because that's the biggest source of information that is pooled with keywords that are relevant to the users. And then once you get all that complete, my suggestion is the same thing fundamentally on search engine optimization, which is content, relevance, authority, links, trust, on-page, off-page optimization. Everything that matters still applies for Google My Business, but take it to the user's level. Like, when do you use Google My Business? Or when you're looking for a restaurant, you probably are looking there because they're close to you and they have good reviews, right? And maybe images are a big determining factor, right? So these 3 things are why people engage. So optimize for it, add more, get really good pictures, get more reviews, but also get more comments on there, right? Like, it's not rocket science. I always tell people, like, if you sit back in the mindset of the customer, right? And that's where a lot of people forget. Like, they think like a business owner, right? They think this is how people, I search, right? Well, you are different because you're a business owner. If 80% of the people are like you, then you would dominate. But why aren't you dominating? Because you're not thinking like the customers, right? So put yourself in the shoes of the customers. Do really the conversion copy. Really talk about like user behavior, the journey, understanding, information, navigation, transactional type journey queries, understanding keyword research, understanding content. There's so many different forms of content, images, videos, podcasts, written, understanding how your customers, absorb content, consume content, why they consume it, and really cultivate them so they get closer to the end game, right? Hopefully that makes sense. I know I'm summarizing a lot of it, Chris, but because I'm in it, it's hard. Like, I need to speak to, your audience members might be business owners. So my first thing is go claim your Google My Business, verify it, and start inputting it like your website, which is getting content there, getting images, and getting reviews. Very straightforward. Answer problems that customers have, add value by giving case studies or testimonials, and then do a call to action. It's very straightforward, just like a website.
I think there's so much there that we can unpack. The first thing is that I'm going to have to go off and work on my Google My Business link there quickly. I've got a friend who actually works at Google, and the other day he messaged me on WhatsApp, I think, and he was like, "That, oi." I was like, "That, what's up?" He's like, "That, check your Google My Business." I was like, "That, how do I do that?" I then realized there was an app, and he had messaged the business through Google My Business, but I didn't get a notification or anything. So I realized I'd obviously turned these off, and then quickly turned them back on. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like, there is actually a way, and directly people can communicate through these. So these are powerful tools for people to use. But I think something you mentioned earlier, that, well, there's two things actually. One, the starting point, right? Claim the page, make sure you've got it, verify it, then start inputting the information, and inputting the information that's on your website. I think that's really important as well, because a lot of people get distracted, and I don't know why. It's happened to us as well, because we've forgotten to update something when we've updated other parts. But we update, for example, our website, and then we don't realize that our Twitter bio talks about our company from 5 years ago, because no one's bothered to have a look at it. And the idea of uniformity for me, in terms of your branding, your messaging, who you are, what you do, every business adapts and evolves. We've adapted and evolved hundreds of times. We work in a sector, you know, when I first started, it was 2008. So Facebook had been publicly available to people for about a year. And Facebook pages were only just coming up as like a thing. So that, compared to where we're at today, where, you know, Facebook Lives and Instagram now has 17 different formats of content that you can put out. And LinkedIn has stories now as well, for God knows what reason. Everything changes. So we're constantly adapting and evolving, but we always try and have a review period where we make sure that our website, our Facebook, our Twitter, our LinkedIn, our Insta, YouTube, whatever it might be, all of our channels are uniform. We're spreading the same message. And I think that's something that's really important. A lot of people forget that, or they forget about all platforms, or they don't bother to update things. So really making sure that if somebody sees you on Google My Business and they do click on that link and get to your website, that it says the same story, that it tells the same story, is really important. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. There's nothing worse than you get to a website, you're like, that has nothing to do with what I thought I just clicked on. So this doesn't really work. And the second thing I was going to say, we talk about it as putting the social back into social media. And it was when you said there, you know, giving value, but addressing comments, talking with people, you know, respond, be social, be human. Like, you know, if you were in a room full of people and they were asking you questions, you wouldn't run away and hide in the kitchen. Like, you'd sit there and you'd ask and answer them, and you'd talk with them, and you'd respond, and you'd have a conversation, and, you know, you'd be respectful, you'd be polite. Even if they didn't agree with your opinion, you'd still be nice, you'd be polite. Think of it as like the mother-in-law kind of situation, right? You might not agree with her, but you try and be polite for that reason. And I think that's something that people forget about online as well. Like, it's a great opportunity, these platforms, to address any problems, to have that conversation. Yeah, it's in public. Yeah, it's not nice to get a little bit of bad information or a bit of a bad review, but it doesn't matter. It still makes a huge impact when you've responded to it, when you've interacted with it. And even better, if you can turn that person from a hater into a lover again, that's worth 100 clients on its own.
Exactly. Like you mentioned, commenting, getting reviews, low star or high star, always provide a feedback, right? There's a section as a business owner, once you're verified, to actually comment on every single review. So very powerful, just like third-party reviews on Yelp, Yellow Pages, Facebook, it allows you to comment. And another thing you mentioned, which is amazing, is that SMS feature, right? Where people can easily access you, and message you without just clicking on your website or click to call. They can text message now. There's curbside pickup for all the retailers that aren't open right now, right? Like, there's apps that are synced with your Google My Business page, which is, you know, Uber Eats or all the online deliveries. All these things, you just have to go in and play around based on your category and industry. There's things that are open up for you as a service provider, right? Or a local business. So go in there, manage it, play around, just like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. There's always new updates, innovative new software updates, right? To help you better be equipped for what the user's expectations are today, right? So play with it, have fun.
Absolutely. And to be honest with you as well, it's something that I think a lot of people get scared of.
Yeah.
Like, they're not sure about, well, I don't really know how to use this, so I don't want to play with it too much in case I break it, right? 99.9% of everything online, you can click Control Z, you can undo, right? Nothing is forever. You don't like something, you can take it down. If you make a mistake, you can update it, you can change it. There's very little that you could do that would really actually like give you a long-term negative effect. now that I'm saying that out loud, don't post anything inappropriate or horrendous or racist or sexist or anything like that. But in general terms, if you're just a normal human being, you shouldn't be doing any of those things. But the idea is that play with it. It's an experiment. And like, again, literally this morning, I was supposed to be on a Zoom call recording something internally. And we were talking about a new piece of software that I've been playing with, OBS, for streaming. And James saying to me, well, can you push this to Facebook Live? I said, I think so. I haven't really done it before. He goes, we'll do it now. We're like that. Okay. So I clicked a few buttons, messed around, and the start of the video, which we've left online because I think this sort of stuff is really funny, is literally the two of us going, are we online? I don't know. Are we live? I don't know. I can't tell. We might be. We might not be. I don't know. And literally, it doesn't matter. It's fun. We enjoyed it. We managed to do it. We got it online. We then had people jump in and say hi. Like, fantastic. Nothing is forever. If it was really bad, I could delete it if I wanted to. I don't feel the need to because, again, we tell everyone, get outside of your comfort zone. Do things that you wouldn't normally do. Try things that are different. If you've never done them before, who cares? Try it anyway. Like one of the silliest hacks is the way that we're recording this conversation right now is literally just a Zoom call with the button, like the record button being hit. You can do that with anyone, with a friend, with a coworker, with a team member, with a supplier, with a customer. Who cares? Just record it. Keep it simple. It doesn't have to be anything wow or anything amazing or, you know, $300,000 production studio. No one's looking for that. And especially not 2020, 2021. You know, you're in lockdown right now. I'm in the UK in lockdown as well right now. This is the way that we live. This has become the new norm. This kind of content is the way that we do things nowadays.
And if you think about your journey as a business owner, and most businesses, they jump in not knowing how to run a business. Like they're first time business owners. And how much of this learning, how much of the, I guess, not knowing the results, right? Not knowing and having uncertainty all over the place. That's life in general, right? So you have to get outside your comfort zone. You need to try new things. You need to see if it works or not. Like without doing it, how do you know if it's going to get you a good or negative result, right? Same with SEO, same with social media, same with anything. You're just trying different things to cultivate new leads or getting more awareness out there. And it's okay to not do the best job. People realize that not everyone has the big budgets that Nike or Pepsi has, right? If you're just a small business owner, it's okay. We're running a podcast as well. You're doing a podcast, and I have no experience podcasting, but we're having fun doing it. And if you're enjoying it and you're having fun, same with your business journey. I know it's hard, right? Like everyone's always looking at financials. They're always looking to see if, does it make sense for my time to, you know, what's my return based on what I'm doing? If you forget about that, and if you're enjoying what you're doing, doesn't matter. And I think we talked about this, Chris, earlier, right? Like just enjoy it, have fun.
I'll happily take a reduction in pay. In fact, I probably have over the last, 12 years. I don't think I'm employable actually anymore. That's a completely different topic, right? After 12 years of running my own thing, I don't think anyone would have me or keep me around for too long. But the idea being, I'd much rather earn slightly less than maybe I would in a corporate career. But also knowing the fact that I'm in control of it, I'm happy. I get to choose who I work with. And again, something else that you mentioned, you know, having fun with it, and you don't really know what works for you. But when you start putting stuff out online, you realize that, oh, that worked really well, but this didn't. And there's an interesting thing about these things is usually if you really don't like doing something, like if you hate being on video, for example, and you keep trying to do videos and you're mortified, right? You're in the videos like, hello, my name is Chris. I run business. You're not enjoying it. It becomes hard work. It probably doesn't perform that well either. And then you'll start finding that there'll be a couple of things, one that you don't like as much, but one that you find really fun and that you love putting energy into. And that one probably does okay. And actually, if you put all your energy into that, not only do you enjoy it more, which means you're more enthusiastic, your output becomes higher, it becomes better. People can feel the energy, they enjoy it more. So they start communicating with you based on that. But also you're enjoying it. Like you're just happy doing it. People that say to me, like, I hate writing blogs. I was like, don't write blogs. Simple. And they're like that. Well, what should I do? I don't know. Record a video, take the transcript, clean it up and push that out, publish that as a blog. People like that, you can't do that. I was like, we do. We actually do it. That's why we create so much video. It goes into otter.ai. That gets turned into a transcript. We clean up the transcript. Bang, you've got a blog article. People don't realize that there's 100 ways to skin a cat, right? In this sort of sense. And when it comes to online, you know, if you love taking beautiful photos at nighttime outside in the rain, make that a thing. Find a way to use it for your business and go outside every night that it's raining, get cold, get wet. That's what you enjoy. Do it. But actually for somebody else, it'll be, I love writing, super technical. Okay, great. Do it. Find the audience that likes that, but do the parts that you really enjoy. You'll like it. You'll enjoy it. It won't feel like hard work. And that in its own right is worth a huge amount. For me anyway, I think that's worth a huge amount of money value as well.
And that's the learnings of a true business owner or entrepreneur, right? They understand their strengths, their passion, and they continue doing it because that's going to deliver them not just happiness, but the best return, right? There's going to be people that love stuff that you hate doing. You just got to find them, right? But
my accountant,
yeah, they love numbers.
Yeah, I hate the accounts. She loves it. God bless her. I've known her now for way too long, many years. And she basically saves us from all these parts. But when you're first starting out, you got to do it yourself. So you try and keep like an Excel spreadsheet or whatever it is that we all start with. And again, like Xero didn't exist back in the days. It was like Sage, overkill, or spreadsheet, underkill. But I hated that. But like you said, and it's at that moment where you go, no, I've had enough. Like this, I cannot do. That I'm handing off. I don't want to do it. I don't enjoy doing it. I hate doing it. In fact, it's become like a real pain point for me. You can push that out and you can move on to do something else. And that is true with every aspect of the business. Sorry, I jumped in on you, John, but I just wanted to mention that.
No, it's totally true, right? Like 12 years doing what you do and you love doing certain things, just like myself. Now I'm in 8 years. I love dealing with my staff. I love helping them up level themselves, right? Empower them, educate them, train them. Same with my clients. I love dealing with good people, right? And working with them and helping them achieve success, right? And whatever their goals are. But people that are toxic, people that waste your time, that complain, that this, it's like, go find other things that are more important. And because SEO, a lot of people don't understand. And local SEO, like as a business owner, marketing is one thing. Website is one thing, social media is one thing. There's so many different aspects, right? And people don't understand it all. So you either try to figure it out or you hire an expert or hire someone that will take that burden off you. And that could be super stressful. It could be very, very, you lose sleep at night or whenever you think about it, you're going to just pass it off. You're going to continue passing it off. So understand what you enjoy doing, right? And then pass everything off to things that other people that love doing those tasks, right?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And again, I think probably a lot of that comes from experience, right? Like you mentioned earlier, it's easier now sat back looking backwards and sort of saying, oh yeah, when I stopped hating that because I just stopped doing it. But at the time, obviously, when you are just starting out, you got to wear a lot of hats, right? And eventually at some point, and this is something I probably consider to be decent advice for anyone, if you're starting to make some money, you've got to start looking at, and even if you're only making enough for you, for your time to survive for yourself, at some point you have to start figuring out whether or not, if you freed up X number of hours by farming out something that would take part of your wage or take part of your money away from you, how much could you achieve with those extra hours? And I think that's where it becomes a real key decision. People are kind of like that. No, I got to wait until, the company's making tens of thousands of extra dollars a month before I hire a member of staff. Yeah, that's true. Like in a certain intelligent economics kind of way. But you can also look at it from a way of, actually, if I paid a virtual assistant $500 a month, how much of my admin could I get off my desk? How much time would that free up for me? Is it worth? Because, if you can free up 40-50% of your time, not chasing the bills, not having to do the paperwork, not having to do whatever it might be, and it only actually takes 20% of your money, well, hang on a second, you're freeing up a lot of time resource, which allows you to make more money, and you're only paying a small chunk to get that freedom back. And I think that's where people start to kind of learn and figure out what the options really are.
And I think you just hit it in the nail, because a lot of people are now realizing do I need to go into a grocery store to buy food? Everything is in one click. Everything could be purchased online. Same with how Amazon, really is the one click shop for shopping any item, right? And you get delivered next day. If you think about that as convenience, right? And then you take it in your personal level and you're like, wow, do I enjoy mowing the lawn? Do I enjoy cleaning my house? How much stress do you have thinking about it, then wanting to do it in those hours you can never take back, right? You'd rather be watching TV or hanging out with a friend or reading a book. Go do things you enjoy, pay someone that enjoys cleaning homes, let them do it, right? Because people forget about that, because in business, you feel like it's your baby. You need to do everything yourself. But in reality, there's things that you enjoy doing and things that you hate and dread doing. Just the thought of it, people, stress out, right? Or sweat. So think about offloading that. It could be blog content, it could be images, it could be social, it could be SEO, it could be content, anything, right?
And it doesn't actually so we're talking about it from marketing point of view because we're marketers, right?
Yes.
But literally it can be anything to do with production, logistics, it can be shipping all your product in a massive pallet to a fulfillment warehouse who will deal with all your orders for you. So if you're starting to get to that point where actually you spend as much time trying to fulfill your orders as you are to actually get the sales in the first place, it's time to start looking at what your options are there as well. And I think this is where, as business owners, we all kind of get into this so that we don't have to work for the man. I don't want no paycheck based on an hourly rate or anything like that, which is great. And the mindset originally is there and it's passionate enough to get you to start. And then before you realize it, you're putting in so many hours that if you figure it out, you're probably earning like half of minimum wage. Don't do the maths. If you haven't, you won't be happy about the results. But the idea being that, and then you suddenly go like, oh crap, I need to get some time back. I can't keep working like this. It's impossible to run 60, 70, 80-hour weeks indefinitely. At some point, something's going to give, and it'll either be your health, your mental health, physical health, one of the two, or even just worse, you just end up burning out and not enjoying what you started by loving in the first place. And that's even more of a shame as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly. I think you put it all out there, because as an entrepreneur or business owner, just enjoy life, and there's a time and place for you to work under someone else too, right? Enjoy that aspect, get some experience, learn what you like and what you don't like. So life is a long journey, right? And you'll know when it's time for you to start something or not, be a business owner or not. And business ownership is not for everyone, and it's okay, right? You just have to acknowledge it and don't kill yourself trying to make something happen and compare yourself to others. That's another thing. A lot of things are self-detrimental that everyone puts them on themselves, right? And I know you read a lot, because I do as well. We learn by doing, right? Not by reading, but you can incorporate a lot of things, but you have to actually do and make your own mistakes to learn.
No, I agree completely. And again, reading all the blogs out there in the world or reading all the books out there in the world. And yeah, I've literally got books everywhere. I love books at the moment. I started again last year. I think I read 24 or 27 books last year. I was really happy with myself, because the year before that, I probably read 3. But the idea for me is, you read something and I'm like, that sounds really interesting. So you either go, that sounds really interesting, forget about it, I'm going to go make a cup of tea. Or actually you go, that sounds really interesting. And then you sit down and you make a bit of a plan and you're like, could we do something like this? And then actually, why not? Let's try it. What's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work out. We don't like it. We don't decide to carry it on. And I think that's where a lot of business owners, especially with marketing, it can be an overload of information. And by the time they finish reading, there is no energy or even will to live left to be able to actually implement anything. Because if you listen to Gary Vee and then you read Neil Patel and then you go over to, I don't know, whoever for something other part of it, and it's just constant. You've got to be everywhere. You've got to do everything. You've got to get on TikTok. If you're an accountancy firm, don't go on TikTok, full stop. I'm sorry, very few firms I think need to jump in on another platform. And even then, we're looking at it as a business point of view for ourselves as how can we actually reduce the number of channels that we're going to be using? Because it's getting to the point where you could spend all day, every day just trying to animate all your channels and not actually doing any real work. So other small businesses are going to find themselves in that position. But if you start reading about SEO, you go down a rabbit hole, and then you read about search or SERP or social or websites or chatbots or whatever, and you go down another rabbit hole. And by the end of it, you're trying to figure out how you can do all of these things. Don't read one thing, think it sounds interesting and cool, try it. Just get on your computer and just try it. Never done a blog? Write one. Push it out there, share it to everyone, send it to all of your personal friends, ask them to give you honest, critical feedback. If you have friends like me, they'll call you all sorts of names and take the piss, but that's normal. That's what friends are supposed to do, I think. But it doesn't matter. Just try it. And the same thing with video or social or putting a picture up or taking a selfie for the business or showing behind the scenes what you're actually doing for work. Whatever it might be, just try it. See what happens. If it feels good, if it feels right, if you enjoy doing it, do more of it. If it feels horrible, if it feels crappy, if you don't like it, stop doing it. Move on to something else. There's more than enough different types of things, of ways to market, that you will continually try until you find one that works and that you like.
Exactly. And there's two folds, right? People that are analysis paralysis, overanalyze, and people that are scatterbrain, that jump from one to another right away without actually deploying it and giving it enough time to come to fruition, right? So you need to have a team or try to figure out, like, give yourself realistic expectations and deadlines or KPIs. Because if you don't have those deliverables and expectations and end game, right? Because again, email marketing, social media marketing, or funnels, right? And then you go SEO, like everything is ads, everything takes time, and it has to be deployed properly with a strategic plan, understanding the content pieces, so many different dynamics, right? You have to put yourself in the shoes of like an expert and make sure that it actually gives substantial enough time to get good results, right? Like if you end it too quickly, then you don't really know if it really had momentum, it had traction. So I get it. After doing it for 8 years, it's more like I give stuff time. I let experts deal with it. And it's okay if they don't come up with good results because I've already committed to it. I have a budget, I allocate it. And that's my decision or my team's decision to go all in for that one thing.
I think you're right though, because too many people want the quick wins, right? So they start by going like, does anyone know someone in SEO who can get me on the first page for something? And you're like, that. Yeah, I know a few guys that could try. You'll be paying for a couple of years. And if you're lucky, you might make it. I don't know. What do you want me to say? And the same is true, whether it be online ads, Facebook ads, content. I want to build a YouTube channel. So do I, man. Get in the line. Like there's tons of work that has to go into it. And that's part and parcel of it. Like people don't realize. And I think you're right. If you're going to choose something to try, choose one thing and make sure that you can sustainably do it for 3, 6, 9, 12 months and get to the end of that. And again, it's the same. I think we were talking about this at the very beginning. When we started this podcast, it was just a challenge to see what it took to start a podcast, right? You're 110 episodes later. And I think I was saying to you, like, I think we said originally, like, we'll do 25 and we'll see what it's like. And then we'll kind of take a decision as to what to do next. And we just enjoyed it. Like as a team, we enjoyed getting together and doing episodes. I enjoyed starting to have these conversations. Now it's just part and parcel of what we do. We release 2 episodes a week, not looking to change that. I don't want to get rid of this in any way, shape or form. But again, it's something that you have to put that effort in to see any kind of results. And by no means 110 episodes later, we get about 500 to 600 downloads a week. Nothing huge. This isn't crazy, right? Spotify's not going to give me a contract for $100 million. I'm okay with that. But it's not about that. It's another part of what I do as part of our branding and as our company. But more importantly, I enjoy it. I get to have these conversations, right? But this is what we were talking about at the beginning, John. I get to be happy because I get to have chats like this. And this is awesome. Like I enjoy this part of it. So finding stuff like that that works for you, I think is hugely powerful.
Exactly. I think that's life of a business person, or that's life in general, right? Like if you really focus on things like if you have a family, spending time, being present, don't get distracted with all these other things that pop up, show up, people that are toxic, people that drain you, right? Really gravitate towards things that you enjoy doing. If you like traveling, go travel. If you like playing sports, having hobbies, go out and do things that you actually look forward to doing, anticipating. If you love fine dining and enjoying good food, go out and have good food with good company, right? That's what life is about. And more people than ever is understanding that life, people don't need to chase whatever that is now, right? Like, it's okay. Slow is better. Be present, enjoy it. Everyone's always trying the fastest hacks, trying to get things yesterday, wanting the best results. Well, traditionally, Google didn't exist. Social media didn't exist for the last 10 years. Technology expedited this transition of like mental, everything is like fast track, so fast that before this time, before computers existed, businesses happen because of generational businesses, because no one really started and ran a successful business in 5-10 years. It was 20, 30, 40 years, right? I worked in the Yellow Pages world. I know what happened prior, right? And it was okay. People enjoyed the slow grind, but they enjoyed working with good people. But now fast forward today, like Twitter is instant, real time, news feeds, real time, everything. Do you need that? I don't know.
Well, whether we need it or not, it's here. But it is interesting that we've actually brought it into certain things. And so I think it's Eugene Kahn that said it to me on this podcast. And again, I think I talked to you about this at the very beginning before we hit record. He said to me, if you're going to start something like a podcast, the real question is, would you keep doing it even if you weren't getting paid? And you've said the same thing, John, as well. If you enjoy what you're doing, don't chase the money. But if you actually enjoy the day-to-day of running your business, that's really important. And I think too many business owners today think it's going to be fairly easy. And I don't know if it's naively or not, but you hear the amazing story of how WhatsApp got bought out for $1 billion, or sorry, Instagram got bought out for $1 billion. This could be easy. We'll set something up. We'll set up a website. We'll sell it, and we'll be rich. And you're like, that cool. It doesn't work like that. And actually, for every Instagram story, there's hundreds of thousands probably actually that have failed completely. They don't exist anymore. The companies no longer exist. And I think that if you can't make sure that you enjoy the day-to-day, the process that you're involved in, the people that you're working with, the people you're selling to, the suppliers that you've got to choose to work with every day, if you don't enjoy that process of actually doing it, you're stuffed. And, it's worse at that point than being in a dead-end job, because you've chosen it, you've created it. So make sure that you're not doing that. Make sure that you are doing things that are fun. Make sure you do like John and I and smile and do something you enjoy, even if you don't get paid extra bucks for it. Start a podcast. Who cares? Crack on. Do something that you love that just makes you smile, and just enjoy that.
Exactly. I just want to add, like, if you think about athletes, and I know football is huge in UK, think about it. People are starting when they're young. They got trainers, they eat well, they practice, but they enjoyed that whole development. They got better, but you only see them when they become a Ronaldo or they become like someone ultra successful. And everyone thinks they can just become that. They don't think about that 20 years, that whatever it took them from 18-hour grinds or 15-hour car rides the parents had to commit. Like, all that takes time to develop. Same with actors, actresses, same with any successful business owner. Everything is all about that experience, the elevation of you as a human, to learn about that, adapt and train and work around, like making mistakes and evolving and getting better and learning. All that doesn't just happen overnight. And with, I think, some of these social channels and people being influenced right away, the challenge is they think it's easier that way. And that's the challenge. A lot of these people in their earlier maybe careers, they think they can be ultra successful, just like that Facebook guy, Mark Zuckerberg, or just like Elon Musk, or just like anyone. They're 1 in a billion, right?
But they're 1 in a billion. And also every overnight success has like 2 decades of work behind it. Exactly. Like, even Mark Zuckerberg as a younger guy who, when he started it and everything else, but if you look at what he was willing to put into that, again, Facebook didn't become a multi-billion-dollar business overnight, and he had to make choices, hard choices, good choices, whoever, whatever, good, bad, however you see it, what he sold, how he treated his friends. If you've watched the movie, everyone's got their own opinion, but whatever he did, it wasn't easy street. He didn't click on and then suddenly sit there and watch money come rolling in. So everyone has decisions to make, and everyone has to kind of realize that there is usually a certain amount of hard work and effort that has to go in behind it.
Yeah. And I think lifestyle makes a big thing, right? You choose your destiny, and you either want to choose a easy way in life or a hard way, but enjoy the path, whatever it is, right? Like that's what life is. So business journey, entrepreneurship, business owner, it could be for certain people. Marketing could be for certain people. Just have fun, right? Yourself included, Chris, myself, we enjoy what we do, and we will continue doing it because it's okay if we aren't making a lot of money. We just love what we are doing.
I think, John, that's where we're going to leave it, with just the final piece of advice, which was have fun. If you're not enjoying it, do something else. John, thank you so much. Before we wrap up, where can people find you online?
Definitely. So you can check out my website. It's www.localseosearch.ca, based in Toronto, Canada. And we also have a podcast similar to yours, but we are really focused on SEO. So it's Local SEO Today. But because me and my VP of sales worked at Yellow Pages, he actually worked there for over 30 plus years in sales. So we've worked with tens of thousands of business owners. So we have a lot of valuable insight, and nothing beats real life experience from real life ground salespeople in the front line. So that's what kind of value we bring to the table on our podcast.
Awesome, John. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Chris.